we could be here for years. Give you some kind of condensed version. Wow, man. So, Aaron Kaufman, we're currently in Grand Prairie, Texas, which is directly between Fort Worth and Dallas. And so this is our home. This is the first commercial building we've ever bought. So this has been a big move for me. It's been really difficult, and we're almost done with the new shop, and a lot of new things are happening here in 2020. And it's been a long road to get here. Not one that I would have thought. I never would have expected to be sitting here talking with y'all, doing this, and about to embark on the next journey that we're about to embark on. But when I was growing up, we were always a very hands-on family. It's like whenever someone in the family needed a roof, we'd put a roof on. Whenever we need to add a room onto a house, we'd do that. Whenever the car needed a new engine, we'd do it in the driveway. And it's like, to be honest, most of my childhood, I don't remember us like having like a proper garage. And so we've always been very hands-on. And so I felt like there was nothing that anyone could do that I couldn't do. It was just gaining the experience. And so I was always attracted to cars. My dad built hot rods and drag cars like before I came along, and then obviously responsibilities in life caught up. And so when I was growing up, we didn't have dirt bikes or mini bikes. We didn't have hot rods or race cars. It was just something I gravitated towards. And then my dad always had photos and stories and stuff, but we didn't have them around. And as I was nearing the end of my high school education, my dad had bought me a little pickup truck for when I was 16, and I wanted something else, and I had bought this Jeep, and I had lifted it, and it had a driveline vibration, and so I ordered a vibration repair, like transfer case relocation kit. What shows up, open the box, and it's like 2 pieces of 1x2 rectangle tubing with 3 holes drilled in them. And so from that point on, it just lowered the transfer case. And so I decided that if I needed anything to modify my cars, I would attempt to make it. If I didn't make it, of course, they would still sell one to me. As it turns out, I was reasonably adept at making things, and I started chasing the how do you make things and why and what tools do you use and what the processes are, and I started becoming fascinated with the art of building, and got into we started in mini trucks because being punk kids, we didn't have a lot of money, so we're shaving handles and tail lights and cutting off frames and back halving and start learning about suspension theory and why things work, a lot of air ride, and then started learning how to use the mill and the lathe and welding processes. And then at some point I was doing air ride at a shop. We were just pickup trucks and cars, laying them on the ground, air ride and wheels and stereos and stuff. And one day I decided that this would be my craft, not my job. And there was a distinct difference in the guys in the shop. There were guys that showed up to get a paycheck and go home, and this was a job, it wasn't their craft. And so for me, what it really meant was every day I wanted to understand more about my craft. I wanted to be better at the end of every day than I was when I started, better at the end of every week, the end of every month. And so that every time I left the shop, I was better at my job than I was when I showed up. And so that kind of mentality really caused me to seek out other people's point of views, different reasons for doing things, different styles inside the trade, and to the point now it's like I'm down to build absolutely anything at least once, right? And so many passions, from race cars in the dirt to on pavement to things that are exceptionally fast to things that just ooze style, and it's just across the board from mini trucks to race cars to hot rods. And so that's it's been over 20 years of chasing this specifically. And while I've had a couple other jobs, I've pretty much only worked in the custom car world. Almost exclusively as an adult, I've worked in the custom car world. And so I've met some of the greatest people, and I wouldn't trade any of my experiences. I've just been pursuing this, which ultimately led me to meet Richard Rawlings, and then he asked me to come work at his shop, which we did for years. And we'd had a few guys working for us, and then times it would just be Richard and myself. And I would build about maybe 2 or 3 cars for a customer a year. We'd flip a lot of cars, buy people's half-finished projects, sold a lot of t-shirts, had a lot of good time, drank a lot of beer, and really got introduced into some of this like Gumball Rally and Bull Run Rally. And Richard was really attracted to that upper echelon lifestyle, gaudy gold on everything, $4,000 loafers and stuff. The neat thing was I got to come along for the ride and met some really interesting people and some weird connections, but we had a darn good time. We got a lot of stories. But Richard, wanted more. and he wanted to be famous and wanted to be in a position similar to Jesse James, right? I mean, quite literally, it is what it is. And he asked me about it, and I said, well, that sounds wonderful. How much does it pay? And so I came along. I started building. I could tell there was more opportunity working with Richard than there was working for myself, even though I had got a shop of my own, which was called Fort Worth Rod and Custom. I got into a point where it was paying for itself, but I wasn't exactly putting money in my pocket, I could just see there were more opportunities with Richard, and sure enough there were. And I got to work on cars and be immersed in a side of the industry that I don't think I ever would have. I really began with Richard, my experience in early Ford stuff, obviously really heavy in Model A's, and so I couldn't begin to calculate how many Model A's I put together or worked on, which I really do adore. And then obviously into more expensive early Fords and into the hot rodding end of things. So that really kind of started the shift, and then also experiencing new peoples, being around more higher end cars. And so my appetite started growing from there. Obviously, we found our way to TV, which is a bit of a different story how that happened. And then so I worked with Richard on the Fast and Loud show for Discovery for somewhere around like 5 years. I did 100 episodes over there, built 81 ground up cars. For every one of those cars, we put 2 or 3 back on the road. So in 5 years, I did little more than build cars. It was exclusively what it was. I mean, sleeping from 4 to 6 hours a night. Well, it sounds crazy, but like years on end of that stuff. And it was really stressful. But the neat thing, and the one thing I wouldn't trade for anything is that we would build these cars in unbelievable time frames. And they really are maybe not what you see on TV, true, but we would build these cars in weeks, and it was absolutely mind-bending. And the appetite that I had grown was for what else can we do in this time frame? How much more car? And then once I kind of found the end of it, how much car we could build, the stress of doing it and working in that environment really had caught up with me. But the thing that I enjoyed so much was there was no if, and, or but. We had to finish a car, had to be functional, had to do its job on this date or very close to it. And so we had the same problems that everyone else has in every other shop in America, around the world, every other guy in their garage, every problem they've had, we had too. Except for I couldn't wait to figure it out. We had to figure it out tonight, have a solution on the floor tomorrow morning. And so it caused us to be really resourceful and really expand our fingers into the industry and find people who could answer these things, could get us parts quickly, and understand the situations that we were in. And so I gained what I like to think of as half a lifetime worth of experience in a matter of 5 years. And that's something that there's nowhere in the world you can go buy that experience to build that many cars that fast you have to have solutions right now. And the neat thing was, and the real benefit for me is it didn't come out of my pocket. It was a unique situation where between Richard and television, we really got to fund a lot of cool stuff. And for the most part, I had free reign. I really got, what do you want to do? And that was something I think a lot of people don't necessarily get to experience. They have a customer that wants something, and they're always having to work inside of someone else's parameters. And I really got some loose freedom there, and I really enjoyed that. But we're trending back towards the real world these days, and I have found myself since 2014, just overwhelmingly attracted to race cars. And so I'd always wanted to be around it, but I really just didn't think it was a possibility. And so I had an opportunity came up for me to buy my Falcon. Opportunity came up for me to build the Falcon on the show. Opportunity came up, we put some things together where I could go race it. And then so it wasn't just the realization of a dream, but it was really just the stoking of a fire. And then every second I've spent in a race car since then has only made the fire hotter. It's like every night when you're up against, the clock and you have to be there on the grid, have a car and a trailer, drive across country, it's always stressful and we cuss it, but I love it, And that's one of those things. So here at ArcLight, couple things. We're truck guys through and through. Nothing will ever change that. We're truck guys. Second thing is we're hot rodders. We bleed motor oil, right? But the third thing is, as it turns out here at ArcLight, we really are Ford guys. We build just about anything, but we are Ford guys. And so we really decided to kind of specialize in one area, but because of our vast tastes, it's hard for us to develop quickly. And obviously the last year we've dealt with buying a building and moving. But we kind of exist in the F100, the Ford space for pickup trucks. We build anything, we love them. Big wheels on the ground, big power, and so that's kind of who we are. But we've really discovered that our heart is really so much in racing. We love the intrinsic drama, the natural drama, the camaraderie, the brotherhood. We love what we all risk when we get in the car. We love what we all sacrifice to work on race cars, to be on teams, to make it happen. It's just for those few, just those seconds or minutes of glory, you know, and it fades so quick, but the memories are so sweet. And so every time you get out of the car, it's everything just to get back to that spot again, just for the opportunity to do something better than you thought you could do, to do something better than everyone else, just if not for a few minutes or a few hours, just to be as good as you can be, or the attempt to be. That's something we don't find in the other parts of the automotive world, to really put all the pressure on our building, or on our skills, on our preparedness, on our team. It's like just for a few hours or a few minutes, we get to see how close to perfect we can get. And so that's an interesting chase, and it's a lifelong chase, and it is not cheap, and there's a lot of things sacrificed for it, but that's one of the things that we're really blessed to be able to experience here. So who are we? We're hot rodders. We build hot rods. We develop parts for the F100 space, and then we chase a life in racing. And when we're not building race cars or maintaining them, we work on hot rods. And that's who we are. And you know, oftentimes, you know, the road gets tough, and you think about other potential ways to get through life and make money. And ultimately, we've discovered one thing: we don't want to be anywhere else. And so we just decided we'll figure out how to make this work. And so that's what you see is a work in progress here. We're always trying to be better builders, better drivers, understand our craft better, and build ever more powerful hot rods. You know, they're not race cars, but we build powerful hot rods, and we love pushing the edge for race cars. And for 2020, aside from just continuing our growth in the F100 and the hot rod space, really our main focus is we've had a friendship with Dean Carney, and this is an Irishman who's won the championship in Ireland. I guess you could say he's the best drifter in Ireland, all around great car control, wonderful race car driver. And we've been friends with him, and we're developing a partnership. So in 2020, we are stepping up into pro racing, and we will be making the run through 2020 and hopefully beyond. We'll use the existing car out of Dean's team now. And for this year, we'll develop our team, the ALR ArcLight Racing team. Around that, Dean and I both have a strong will to race anything with tires. We almost don't even care how many it's got. And so everything from dirt to pavement, you know, sometimes they spend a little time in the air. So this is new for us to exist for a full season, put forth a real effort in pro level racing. On top of that, we've decided to double down and pick up another car as an arrive and drive for another driver. Obviously, our focus at ALR is to support Dean in the effort in FD, which is Formula Drift USA. And we have 8 rounds. We'll be prepping and maintaining a car that Dean has developed, and then hopefully through 2020 we'll be collaborating and building a brand new Pro 1 car for Dean in the 2021 season, and growing our efforts there, bringing on as many of our partners as we can, and just seeing what damage we can get done in pro level racing. I've been picking at races for a couple of years here and there in different places, but this will be the first time that ArcLight or ALR has put forth an entire season's effort. This year's really a crazy year, and it's unique because also it's like in our camp, it's like working with Dean. It's like Dean has so much interest in racing things, and I've developed such a relationship with Life Motorsports out of Salt Lake in Utah in the Sierra Car program, which allowed me to race American Rallycross last year, which is the first time anyone's got behind me and allowed me to race as much of a series as my schedule would allow. And it really has been an amazing relationship with Cole, with his guys, with Life, and with the Sierra Car program. So last year, I got to drive Pikes Peak. I got to drive Sierra Alpha, which is a turbo version of this open wheel car, which is Hayabusa powered, 350 horse, weighs 1,000 pounds, and is much faster than the Falcon. And so it's been incredible for have someone else put me in a car that I could start pushing my boundaries, because it's so much money to build a car to move up to each of the next levels. And so to be able to have someone have that much faith in me to put me in a car that's very expensive and go out and ask me to see what I can get done and like work my threshold up has really been a pleasure and a blessing. And so I'll be back again this year in Sierra in the new 2020 car, which is a bit of a departure from the last car, which I thought was good. The new car is honestly an animal. And so we'll be back up there with the little cars and see what we can get done. And I'm terribly excited. Last year I was so floored to be so close to what I thought my ideal time on the mountain was. In fact, I was inside of what I thought, if I run this fast, I won't ask for anything more, I'll be happy. As it turns out, we all lie to ourselves, and that ended up being a big lie, because once in the Sierra car, once I realized like I was inside that time that I told myself I'd be happy with, I was not happy. Like I needed to go faster still, you know, and so it made me being the right situation in the right car. I believe that things that previously I didn't think I was capable of were now within striking distance, and so it's been a wild ride. And Pikes Peak has given me access to a family, not just on the mountain, but through other racing and just personalities across the country, that lifelong friends. Some of the greatest people I've ever met, I met through racing, and most of them I met through Pikes Peak. And so it's I think ironic a little bit that the very first serious big race I ever did, and they held my hand so much to get through it and get to it and make it happen, has really been the gateway to almost everything else since then. The truth of the matter is I need to run Baja 1000 in a trophy truck. That's really, really simple. It's like there are fast pavement cars out there, and you know, I don't have the pedigree, the backing, and I don't have the experience. I don't know that you'll ever see me at Le Mans. I don't know that that I'll be at Daytona. I don't know that any of these things will happen. But one day I will spend 20-something, 30 hours just pounding my mind out in a big, nasty 6,000-pound, 900 horsepower truck through Mexico. I've had the pleasure of running in some 6,100 trucks, but one day it's like I love racing in the dirt. I absolutely do. I love being in the desert. I love the challenges it faces, and it's like if there was one, you have to accomplish this, or it was a life undone. I need some time in a big, powerful race car in the desert. We're working to get there. We'll get there one day. But aside from that, it's build hot rods, build race cars just to get to the next race car adventure around the globe. I'd love to do Peking to Paris. It's like one day I really want to run Dakar, and I think that's within our grasp. I think that we could. We got to find the right partners in the right time in the right year, but it's like ultimately I know myself and some of my racing cohorts would love to be on a team and race Dakar, which I think we can do. And so our effort is to keep pushing up what our capabilities are and get closer to the top. Spend as much time racing on different parts of the planet, experience different people, different cultures, and do it all through the scope of motorsport. Cowabunga dudes.